my goodness. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Showtime in Paris without show. Oh, my goodness. But we
Hey,
have a special guest for you
I'm
guys
in here.
tonight. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Can you introduce yourself for the people?
Your boy Ike. Showtime show couldn't make it, so I'm stepping in for him. And I'm gonna do my best to fill in the shoes.
Yes, you're gonna have some big shoes to fill, but I mean, we got a juicy conversation for you guys tonight. We are going to be talking about relationships, just tips on relationships and dating in 2022. Being that 2021 is behind us and we are into 2022, what are a few things you want to say to the people?
Yeah, man. 2022. We're dating under the guise of COVID. Under limitations and everything else. So yeah, this the modern man got to step up. We got to do our part to grab the ladies we want in our life.
I like how you said like we're still under COVID. Like I think COVID has impacted things still to this day on dating. And it's tough to go out here, especially now that things are even worse when they first started. It's hard to
Yeah.
date in 2022 because A, you don't know if that person has COVID or who they've been exposed to. You don't want to go on a date and
Hey,
kiss that person
listen,
because you don't
listen.
know if they mouth
They
got COVID.
they better be to be died for. They better be died for. You know what I mean? Like if they ain't worth dying for, is you good on them?
Oh, you know what? That is a good one. They got to be worth dying for because you don't know what they're going to expose you to. So
Exactly.
in 2022, it in 2022, you have to give your undying love because you never know who God.
Yes, sir. True. Gotta take this love thing serious.
That's tough,
Oh,
man. I, that's really, really, really tough because you got people still, they don't want to meet in person, so they're online dating. And then soon as you meet somebody online, you could turn them off immediately if you're like, "Are you vaccinated?" or "Who you been
yeah.
around?" "Oh, I don't got COVID." It's like it makes it
Well,
awkward meeting
I
people.
mean, to a degree, definitely it can. But at the end of the day, how I operate, I'm kind of one of those people. If you don't like me, cool. Like you know what I mean. So my whole thing is, if you talk to somebody and COVID is a big deal for you, and you mention that, and they look at you different, that's somebody you don't need in your life anyway. So it works itself
Mhm.
out. It's a win-win.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And if that, like you said, if that person doesn't have the same beliefs and morals as you and they're not for you, it's okay. You can
That's
move
right.
on. There are plenty of single people in 2022. All right. So let's
Absolutely.
talk about single. You think it's hard for you to be single in 2022, especially we're in the year of the internet where like everything is on social media and you're seeing all of these visuals. It's like, people coupled up, marriages happening. You think it's hard?
I think it's very easy to be single. What I think is hard is it's hard not to have hoes. That's that's the hard part. But single, oh yeah, that's the easy part. I love being single. I'm a single man. I enjoy it. I enjoy everything that being single affords me. Just like when I'm married, I'll enjoy everything that being married affords me. But nah, being single, oh, you do nothing and you're single. You know what I mean? But I say not having hoes would be the hard part.
But why is it not having HOEs? Is it because there's a
It's
lot of
hard.
women that are like a lot of women
But
are throwing themselves on men or what is it?
listen, vice versa. Like women will have a lot of men in their space. You know what I mean? So a lot of women just have men that's trying to pursue them, trying to engage them, and vice versa. For men, I think because there's so much access, a lot of times your attention is going to be in a multitude of people. So a lot of times, like that's why I say it's not hard being single because there's so many ways to kind of get access to people, but it'll be
Mhm.
actually focusing yourself. Like I said, one of the hardest thing I think is for people to figure out what they want for themselves. When you have so many options and you don't know what you want for themselves, then yeah, you all over the place. But once you can kind of focus yourself and figure out what you want for yourself, that goes a long way with you being to navigate what the world has to offer and being able to kind of be more
Mhm.
diligent on who you want to pursue.
That's interesting. I think we're embarking on a world of entrepreneurship. So when people come to finding themselves, they're reinventing themselves a lot. And that's kind of changing up the dating space too, because people were so used to doing the normal day-to-day stuff, and you get married, well, you date a woman, you get married, just like the normal stuff. But in this new day and age, people are becoming entrepreneurs. They don't want to be tied down to people. I think the world is changing drastically. So when it comes to dating, you have to be open to so many different things.
Well, that's the thing. I think dating used to be very conventional, like, right? You go out with one girl, you take out on a date, the man pays this and that. Now there's women paying, now people are going 50-50. Now like there's so many there's so many dynamic nuance. Shoot, even to the point where men and women are both in open relationships to where people are exploring polygamy. So it's kind of like as the world changes, which I'm a fan of freedom, right? So I'm a fan of having all the options in the world you want for yourself, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What you have to do for yourself is figure out what the best option is for you as an individual, and in finding out what's best for you doesn't mean other things are bad. It just means they're not for you, right? So me, I
Right.
tell people I'm a monogamous guy. I don't think polygamy is bad. I'm like, if it works for you, hey, great. If you're happy, the people in your life are happy, and you're able to move forward and create more happy people, I support that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I just don't see myself finding my happiness through that dynamic. So I approach relationships different in my own way. So now I'm a big
Mhm.
supporter. Like I like the way the world has moved forward, but I think the bad thing is a lot of people haven't been able to adapt to that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So a lot of people aren't like you have people still kind of just living lives that ain't really for them and struggling and then blaming other people for their problems and not really taking any accountability for the life that they're experiencing, you know?
Mhm. I think a lot of people, you think people haven't adapted to it. I think people are adapting to it because you have more people who are open to their sexuality, sexual freedom, and they're being more so out in the open with things now versus back in the day. People used to hide things. Let's talk about polygamy, for example. Some people were in polygamous relationships and did not even know. And when they found out, they were ashamed. But nowadays, people embrace polygamy because you're sharing love, you're giving love. And I think more people are becoming open to different types of situations now because the world is changing so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more awareness people have on these type of relationships, they'll be more open to it. As far as back in the day, like I think if you were in a polygamous relationship and you didn't know about it, that means you were being violated. So somebody was cheating on you, something negative was going on. But again, like
Mhm.
I think now people are more comfortable with I guess putting that on the table. Like a lot of women are engaging with men that are more like, hey, I'm a polygamous kind of guy, and is this something that you want to be a part of? More than before, they just kind of get on the roller coaster, don't know where it's going until it's kind of they're in a destination that they ain't planning on going to. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, like things are evolving and people are kind of stepping up to a certain degree. But I think there's also those levels of people that are kind of getting lost in the muck too, that aren't
Yeah.
really like evolving with it and they're still fighting against the evolution. It's kind of like the internet. Like when the internet came out, there's people that didn't believe the internet was possible and not really even into there's people today can't even send an email. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
kind of like some people kind of step up and they're able to move with the Joneses and some people just stay where they at.
So we got a comment from Lee. LOL. Paris laughed at women paying and going 50-50. Yes, because still 2022 Paris is not 50-50 Paris. That would
Oh, you
never be
need
Paris.
you need to evolve, Paris. You need to evolve.
I mean, I've evolved, but I would never evolve to that degree. That's just something that wouldn't change for me.
No, like again, listen, I respect it. Like I said, I tell people like what it's great that you know who you are. You know what you want to entertain. So if there's a guy that's what they entertain, you just know, hey, he ain't for you. I don't look at it like he's a bad guy, he's a sucker, whatever. I'm like, he just ain't for you, cool. He could go make somebody else happy. You know what I mean? And it's
Right,
simple as that.
right.
And the
So I
same,
look at it. There's somebody for everybody. Yeah,
absolute.
somebody for everybody. Just because your beliefs and what you feel doesn't align with my beliefs and what you feel, that doesn't mean that there's not somebody else for you. It's like no hard
Yeah,
feelings, and
yeah,
just
exactly. Like I said, send it back to the streets.
what does that mean? Send them back to the streets. I'm
Hey,
curious on that.
I feel like well when you enter in a relationship with somebody, you guys are both leaving the streets. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like we were on our way, we was like on the sidewalk, and then I'm like, oh, you doing too much? Hey, yeah, back in that street.
What's that? Is that a Drake song that says "Don't make me take you back to the hood" or something
And
like
look,
that?
it needed me. I think that it needed because you'll be a hit.
So that's so crazy because guys use that term often, right? Give her back to the streets or she for the streets. It's like I feel men use that term very, very loosely. And when a woman hears that, we automatically get defensive because it's not said to me or it's not said in a context where it's welcoming to women and it's kind of cringing.
Oh, but I guess I never thought about it how a woman would receive it. I use it jokingly, you know what I mean? So I never thought about it like a woman could receive it like so negatively. But I would say it's nothing personal. Like it's nothing that you should ever take seriously. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like when you know who you are as a woman and you move how you move, a guy could be saying whatever. It just that don't got nothing to do with you. You go live your
Mhm.
best life and go do your own damn thing. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So I got a question for you. In 2022, what is something that you could say to women that you want us to stop doing in 2022?
Stop doing. Oh,
I
where
want
do I
I want to
start?
say stop doing them filters. We don't need a filter on everything.
Man, I'm trying to think where do I start. Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely the filter. You know what? Just recently, too, I was looking through social media, and I saw so many like, because I don't do filters, so I never even knew whether a filter was active or not. But like, I just started recently like noticing. I guess this person has a filter. Um, I mean that I tell. I'm trying to. Is this PG-13? Because I need to know how I could
This
talk.
is PG. Yes, it's PG. Yes.
Okay, okay. Because so for me, when it comes, I don't take social media seriously. So even when I see a
Mhm.
woman, like let's say you see a woman on social media and you might think she's an 8, I take off 2 points off already. Like I'm like in real life, if you're an 8 on social media, you're probably a 6 in real life. That's just me. I'm very like when it comes to yeah, I know I'm cold, but I just because social media is so not real to me. So I'm just like, no, whatever you put in, I don't take people seriously on social media because again, I just rather engage with you in real life. So that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
filter stuff, I don't even because again, I don't pay attention to social media. So for me not to take stuff like that seriously, I'm just like, nope, lower the stats and everything, make it work for me. But one thing that I would tell women to stop doing, um, I mean, I just want to tell women be more confident. Like it's not even stop doing stuff, be more confident, like walk in your grace
Mm,
more. You know what I mean? That's what I
mm,
want for a woman. Like, I just feel like, again, like there's just things that stand through the test of time. And I'm like, one thing great women possess is confidence, is belief in themselves. You know what I mean? It's
mhm.
grace. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
know I talk to a lot of my female friends, and, we talk about like the strong black woman. And I tell them, hey, like, yeah, you could do all the yelling you want to, and that's cool. But there's also grace in not saying the word sometimes. You know what I mean? Sometimes the
Mm.
most powerful move you can make is not saying the word. That's gonna set a tone. Like instead of saying what you're gonna do, just do it. You know what? That's the one. Instead of saying what you're gonna do, I don't want girls on the internet talking about I'm gonna stop moving in silence. Nah, sweetheart, just move in silence. Just do it. Prove it. That's what I want.
So
Don't
that's what
say
you want us
nothing.
to do. Don't
That's what
say
I want you
nothing,
to do.
just do it.
Don't
Just
don't
put
talk about
just
it.
put
Be
your
about it.
stuff in action. Right. Just put
Like,
your stuff in action, ladies, and
put it.
just do it. And then when you do it, you come out like boom, I'm superwoman. That's what
Yeah.
Ike likes.
That's what I like. You know what I mean? If you want to start on social media, start on social media all you want after. But I don't want to hear all this yappity yap yap how you going. Nah, just do it. Like Nike. Just do it.
So for me, I think that guys in 2022, what you guys could do a better job of is showing more emotion, like tapping into your emotional side. I think that most men try to be so hard all the time, and it's hard for them to kind of tap into their emotions when it comes to women or children or what have you. And I think y'all have to do a better job in saying, you know what, I'm hurting today. I'm not okay. I'm not Superman today. I think you have to be
Let me say
better at
this.
that.
Let me say this. A lot of women say that. Me as a guy, I'm like, yeah, nah. Like when women say they want men more emotional, and then what I see the result of that looking like is very suckerish to me. As a man looking at other men, I just be like, yo, not like as a man, there's certain realities we have to face in the world. And I think it's great that women want us to be all kind and sensitive and everything else. if anything, I'm like, I want men to be more emotional intelligent, right? That to me supersedes. I don't need you to be coming home crying, blah blah blah. I don't care about none of that. I want you to be more
Yeah,
emotional intelligent.
maybe I said it wrong. Maybe I said
But,
it wrong. I meant more emotionally intelligent. Being
I'm here
okay
for you.
to yes, you're helping me. I think men should be able to identify their emotions more and deal with them strategically. I'm not saying I want somebody boo-hooing and all of that, but it's okay to say my day did not go right, but this is how I'm going to fix my day
Oh,
instead of holding it in. I think men do a lot of holding things in, and I want y'all to do better in
I
2022.
I agree with you. I agree with that. It's like taking charge of your emotions. If you know you went through a hell of a day and you're gonna kind of feel down, kind of talk to the person who's in your life and just say, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling, and this is probably
Mhm.
this is what I need to just kind of get through like the rest of my day." And expressing that could go a long way
Exactly.
with your dynamics work. And that's why I say I'm big on emotional intelligence. But yeah, ladies always asking, "Oh, I want men to be more sensitive." Yeah, like nah, I don't promote that. Like, nope. So
But when we say more sensitive, I guess for y'all think about things in kind of a simpler form than us. We could just be
absolutely.
more sensitive, meaning, all right, give us a hug when you come in, things like that. You know, it don't necessarily mean you got to be like, oh, nah, we just want
Uh,
y'all to be like, you know what, baby, I love you. I love the way you love me today, or something like that. You know,
Eh.
finesse us a little bit.
That's what you are. Yeah, we can do that. We could do that for sure. I support that. Yeah, a little finesse. I support that. So
It's crazy because we're in a world where we expect people to do certain things and we don't do the things that we expect of people, and we like get angry. We live in a funny world, man.
oh, absolutely. Listen, no, that's absolutely like that's one of the things I try to point out to people because I even have those certain dynamics where some of the expectations people have, and I'm just kind of like, you don't live up to your own expectations, so how can you set that bar for other people? And the same grace that you should show yourself because you don't meet those same expectations, you should afford that grace to other people as well, and understand they're human beings too. I tell people as long as
Mhm,
somebody like you genuinely believe that somebody has your best interest in mind, you should be able to afford them
mhm.
some grace where they're slipping up a little.
Yeah, yeah. Frank Lucas says facts. Hey Frank, how are you?
You're
It's crazy because I think men more so, and I'm not kind of going back to the men women thing. I'm just talking in general, guys, and this is just
look,
my opinion.
we can solve it tonight. I want all the smoke.
I mean, we can or whatever, but I honestly think men sometimes get in their ego gets in the way of them being authentic sometimes, and I think it's tough because perception is a lot with you guys, and I think you guys you want to be macho all the time, and it's like you don't your ego sometimes gets the best of you, and I think that men are always in a competitive space in everything that they do, and it's making it hard. It ages men. It's just a lot.
I
Like, I don't
mean,
know.
I hear what you're saying, but I also have to look at it like the reality we live in, right? So, to a degree, you have to be perceived a certain way by the woman that desires you, right? I've spoken to
I'm
women and they've
listening.
told me, huh?
I'm listening.
Yeah, because I've spoken to some women and certain things they say, like if they see their man like exhibit certain behaviors, they're gonna think less of him. So when you're telling him to be quote unquote more sensitive or more this and that, if that's not gonna get him what he really wants in life, why would he do that? So for a lot of women that again, I hear a lot of women saying, "Hey, I want my man to be this." Well, sweetheart, you also need to be receptive to that. You know what I mean? Because a lot of women say a lot of things they want, but when they get it, all of a sudden you see her, she tripping, she bugging, she ain't happy. I'm like, you're not even receptive to what you want. You saying you want something because it sounds good on TV. You know what I mean? You hear
Right.
it, girls talk about they want it, they want this, they want that. But the reality is, like, it doesn't even make you happy. You know what I mean? You just want it because
Mhm.
maybe other women talk about it. So you feel like if you got it, you could stunt another woman about it. But you have it and you ain't happy. And I'm like, yo, just be happy with what you actually want. And if
Right.
you that, best believe men are gonna cater to that. Like whatever is gonna get y'all. Like dudes is buying bottles, $1,000 for bottles in the club. You think we doing that just to get drunk?
Wait a minute. Who spends $1,000 on one bottle?
Now you get the section with the bottle and everything else, but the main reason they're paying for that is so they can get a woman in their life. They ain't doing that just to get drunk. So I'm trying to
So
tell you,
are
like,
you saying a guy will go broke? Are you saying a guy will go broke just to
that's
impress a woman
they,
in a club?
guys go. This happens every day of the week. Like I'm not trying to. I'm not saying something like crazy. This happens all the time. There's a lot of
Okay.
guys out there right now that are broke because they're chasing women with the best of their abilities. You know what I mean? Are they doing it the best way? I don't think so, but they're willing to go broke to get y'all. So if a guy is willing to go broke to get y'all, I'm pretty sure if he had to change his behaviors a little bit to really cater to you, to really get you, he would. But the reality
Okay.
that we live in, that behavior ain't gonna get you.
Okay, so let me ask you, what are some behaviors that men possess when they're going broke to kind of please a woman? Like what are some behaviors that a woman should be on lookout for?
A guy that's going broke to get a woman. I mean, there's a lot of dudes. I mean, women do it too, but there's dudes buying a lot of high end products like Gucci, Louis, all that stuff. They're buying that stuff. The main reason they're buying it is so they could impress a woman. Like even dudes that they're jug, right? So they're jugging. When they jug, you're like, oh, why don't they get a business? Why don't they put that money to that?
I don't
None of
know
that
what
stuff is going.
jug is.
Okay, jug is like a criminal act of getting money, right?
Oh,
So like it's I'm trying to think what they call it so many different things. I'm trying to think of a nice general term. But like jugging is like, let's say scamming. So jugging is
okay.
basically scamming. So there's people that scam, but when they get this money, a lot of times they're buying frivolous stuff. But why? Because women are into frivolous stuff. Like when a woman goes out, the guys that she ends up kind of trying to get to is the guys that she perceives that has money, right? So
I
usually
know.
the guys that you perceive that is not you. Look, I'm not talking
I
about you.
know.
I'm talking about
I
other.
know.
I'm talking about the other girls. I'm talking,
Okay, okay,
I'm talking
okay,
about the other
okay.
girls.
Carry on.
But
Okay,
a
carry
lot
on.
of these other, a lot of these other girls, what they want is they want a guy with money. So the guy that gives the perception of money, that's who they want. Mind you, he could be the brokest person in the room, but he looks like money, right? Oh, they all know. Such is life, and we know that. Like I said, I don't know. Guys don't complain about that. That's just life 101, right? Cool, we'll deal with it.
But why do y'all set yourselves up like that? Like, it's because you know that's gonna get the woman? You know what I'm saying? Like, but why would that woman is not gonna be for you if you gotta false
We don't, we
impress
don't, we
her?
don't, we don't need it to be for us. We just need it to be for us for that night. So again, it's all about what you're trying to do. That's what
Wait,
I'm trying
wait,
to
wait,
say. It's
wait. What
about
do you
what you're
mean
trying
for
to
that
do.
night? So he's just
If
trying
you
to impress her for that night, and then that's it?
he's
Like,
look, it's not even about it's about women in general. So he wasn't trying to press her, he was trying to press any woman, right? And if he gets the one he
okay.
wants for that night, he's good. So it's not a long game. Like this ain't about marriage and spending the rest of his life with you. This is about getting you for this night. Now you might think it's for your rest of your life. As long as he gets you for that night, he good. He's done what he came to do, and he'll go and do the same thing next week.
That's trifling. That's trifling. Okay, so I have another question
As the
for
real, it's
you.
a cold world.
But what if he really, really likes that woman and he's like, all right, I want to see her more often. What limits will he go to keep up that lifestyle?
So you asked me about like a scammer's life. I mean,
I'm curious.
I'm looking at it like if he's already living like that, he gonna keep living like that until the gig is up. You know what I mean? When the gig is
The
up, the gig
gig
is
is
up.
up. He looks at it as a job.
But it's basically you don't think that's a job. It sounds like a job to me. You portraying this image that you not, and you got to keep this up whenever you engage with this young woman. Yeah, it's a job to me because I'm not living like that, right? So when somebody's putting in that much work, what ends up happening? Like what ends up really happening? Because it's the fake story of the girl finds out that she walks away and that's that. What ends up happening is she ends up really liking the guy for the most part, and then once she finds out, yeah, she feels some type of way, but she's too invested now, so she go nowhere, and he's still doing what he's doing, and then it still turns into
And
a
then
shit
he
show. But
borrowing her car. He borrowing her
son,
car, going to see
hey,
somebody else.
hey, living his best life. Listen, it happens.
That's
Understand?
trifling.
It's a cold world. I'm trying to tell you. Look, 2022 ain't changed much. So yeah, but no,
It's
we over here.
crazy.
We over here talking about like the trifling situations, but no, like again, there's some good dudes out there, and if a good dude wants you, he will pursue you to the best of his abilities. You know what I mean? And like, I mean, I read this Denzel article where he talks about when he took out his wife for the first time, he calculated his finances and he took her out, and he was short because when they were taking the cab home, he didn't have the money to situate the rest of the cab, so she put in.
Wow.
Now,
Mhm.
what led me to believe that why she would put in is when somebody takes you out, he clearly took you out. He clearly paid for dinner. He paid for all these things, and you could see that he clearly appreciated spending time with you. Of course, you would afford him that. You know, like
Mhm.
I know any solid woman would afford any solid guy that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But there'll be women saying, no, you shouldn't have to pay nothing. I'm like, well, look, if that's how you feel, then I just personally
Right.
feel like maybe you haven't encountered a solid man in your life before. Because you wouldn't
Mhm.
speak of men in that capacity if you actually
Yeah.
encounter solid men. And vice versa. There's men that say a lot of wild things about women, and I just realized maybe they never had a good woman in their life.
Yeah.
It
Right.
happens.
Right
You know what I
on.
mean? Yeah. So
It happens.
I try to tell people sometimes you encounter somebody just by the way they move. You just know, hey, they have an experience, maybe somebody of your caliber in their life, and maybe they don't need to. Because if they're too all over the place, they'd be like, hey, sweetheart, yeah, keep your life moving. You don't need this type of action in your life.
Yeah, but that's tough sometimes for some men because some men won't be mature enough to handle a certain caliber of woman. And he will try to mature himself, and then he's really damaging that woman by trying to mature himself, and she's becoming the person that's like starting to drop to his level. So I think it's tough for men. I think you guys try to stretch yourself beyond your limit sometimes, but you end up crushing the woman of your dreams that way, and then she ends up becoming a person that she's not, and then she's damaged for the next person. It's just like a
Let me say
cycle
this.
type of thing.
It's a two-way street where that woman has to realize, hey, this man isn't ready for what I have to offer. You gotta let him be. You know what I mean? And I can't knock somebody who wants something so bad that they try to rise to the occasion. So I can't take that away from him trying to. But at the end of the day, I've been there. I've been there where I've dealt with whoever, and I'm just like, yeah, shorty, nah, like the type of energy I gotta deal with you ain't worth it for me. Like I'm
Yeah,
good.
but
And it's nothing
then
personal. I want the best for you, but I can't beat that for you. Where I'm at in life and what you're doing ain't gonna work.
yeah, but then it becomes some type of game where that man or that woman tries to move on, and then they can't forget about that person, or then they comparing people to that person, and then they still remembering. I mean, it's
Listen,
like a game.
I tell people it's a cold world. That's for them to sort out. Like if you with somebody, you thinking about somebody else, you got to sort your life out. Me personally, I don't even entertain other relationships in the midst of overcoming like a relationship, right? But some
Mhm.
people's advice is the best way to get over one man is to be under another man. I think that's the best way to get into a roller coaster. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like simple as that. One of the
Mhm.
one of the things that I watch out for when it comes to women is I'm attractive young man. You know, I think the world of myself. So any woman that approach me, I'm like, oh, I know why she want me. But what I also pay attention to is why is she approaching me? Is she approaching me because she's really full function and she wants me, or is she approaching me because she's running from something else? Right? Because
But that's
sometimes,
not fair to that woman. You trying to put her in a
no,
category off the back by assuming of what she's approaching you
no,
for.
no. As you, so you don't consider why a man is approaching you when he approaches you?
Men don't approach me because they already know that I'm in a
Okay.
relationship, but
Okay. So let me
men
put
don't
it like
approach
this.
me. They don't approach me in person on social media, yes, but not in
So
person, no.
But so okay, so for the ladies that's out here in these streets, right? I think you have to
Mhm,
be very cognizant of why
mhm.
somebody's trying to pursue you. I think it matters so much. If a man is trying to pursue you because he just wants to sleep with you, I think that's relevant to whatever dynamic of relationship you want. If let's say a woman wants to be in a relationship where she ends up being married to a man, why would she entertain a man that just wants to sleep with her?
True. But then some
Yeah.
women are just like men. Women have needs just like men have needs. So
I'm okay
sometimes,
with that. Look, one of my
right.
models, this ain't very PG-13, but one of my models is good women want dick too. Yeah, I get it. People have needs, and I'm very supportive of that. But with that said, you have to be mindful of why somebody is pursuing you. If I'm there and a woman, and even I could be pursuing a woman and she starts entertaining me, I have to consider why is she entertaining me? Is she entertaining me because she does want to have the dynamic of relationship that I want? Or does she just want some dick? Or does she just want a guy around her that just makes her feel good about herself? There's all type of reasons why somebody could just want you in their space. You have to be
Right.
able to discern that for yourself. And when you discern that for yourself, you come to an understanding whether that person is worthwhile to you or not. And as much as it might hurt, you might have to walk away.
Hmm. I
Yeah,
agree.
it's a cold
I
world.
agree. I agree to some aspect, but that's a level of maturity to even be on that thinking wave, right? And I would say to those who are not mature enough to think that way, you have to start being selfish when it comes to your time, your energy, your space, and who you share that with and who you pursue. Because sometimes you may be in the wrong place at the wrong time and pursue the wrong person that can change your life for the better or who could change your life for the worse. But I think it takes a level of maturity to think on the level that you're speaking of. And I think a lot of men are struggling in that aspect.
I mean, I'll say men and women. I know you over here. We love saying that a lot of men are limited in their own way. I think a lot of women are
Mhm,
limited too.
mhm,
What I try to say is in society, I feel like women are more groomed for relationships. You know what I mean? But being groomed doesn't mean you're mature. I've engaged with women that, yeah, I mean, she could cook and clean and all that. She's groomed for a relationship, but mentally she can't handle a relationship. You know what I mean?
mm,
While a lot of men tend not to be groomed for a relationship, but a lot of men that I've encountered, when I start talking to men and we start talking about just relationships and things like that, they end up meeting a lot of women that are mentally not mature enough to handle a relationship. I mean, one of the
mm,
dynamics I even face is I deal with when I'm engaging with women. They can't handle a lot of women sometimes can't handle a man that's more mature than them. So that tends to be
mhm,
something that doesn't work in our relationship where, she's used to the guy messing up. Or at least if he's not messing up, he lacks the ability to hold her accountable. Right.
mm,
So she always feels like she's the one doing right in the relationship. And then sometimes they engage with me. And for me, like I said, I accept things for what they are. So sometimes if I'm just sleeping with a young lady, I'm not going to be pressed about you kind of doing certain things right. But there's some women out there, they want to be better human beings. They're like, hey, what do I need to? And I'm like, listen, like you do this and this wrong, but I don't hold it to you because you know why I'm here. And then they start realizing where they're making their mistakes. And some women, just like even some men, don't want to be, I guess, wrong or don't want to
mhm,
be the one that's dropping the ball all the time. So they start
mhm,
feeling that leads to their insecurities and things like that. Because for me
mhm.
personally, I say, as much as we talk about men having all these emotional problems, I'll tell you right now, and this is not even like trying to make it men versus women, but I think women go through far, far more than men. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So with that said, I'm like, no, women have a lot more problems than men. You know what I mean? That's a
yeah,
given. But I don't hold it against women. Like I think that's one of the things where you become a man that really wants to serve our community or serve our women or have like real relationships, you're gonna realize, yo, women go through a lot more. And I
a
don't hold it
lot.
against women. Yeah, I don't hold it against women. If
Mhm,
anything, that realization makes me want to be there for them more. While a lot of men don't really recognize that.
mhm.
So it becomes a hindrance within our community. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Right, 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 right. You said a lot of key things. I mean, what do you think is the toughest thing right now that are holding people back from being in good relationships? Do you think it's perception? Do you think it's kind of themselves getting in their way? Or like what are some of the key things you think hold people back?
I would say it's people getting in their own way. And what I mean by that is I think a lot of people don't realize what it takes to be in a relationship. So a lot of times their perception of a relationship is just wrong. Let's say I'm trying to give like a description of something. It's kind of like
Mhm,
there's a job, right? And you feel like, hey, I have to wear a suit to this job. Well, if you're supposed to be a lifeguard and you're showing up to be in a lifeguard in the suit, you know what I mean? As much as you think that you're capable of doing this job, it's like, bro, you're in this suit. You're not supposed to be in a suit as a lifeguard.
right.
And I think that's how some
Mhm,
people approach relationships. And that's why I said you got to realize who you are and what really serves you. You know what I mean? Like there's some people where
mhm,
I'm like, I don't think marriage is for you. Everybody tell you they want to be married. I'm looking like, no, like you seem to be a very selfish person. You're not really mindful. Like there's a lot of things that you lack to where I don't think marriage would make you happy. I think you could have
mhm,
relationships with people. I think you could be with somebody, but marriage, nah, I don't, it doesn't really seem like it's for you. And that's
mhm,
not a bad thing. Like there's people where it's like I tell people I don't think marriage serves everybody. You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
granted, the whole society says, hey, the end goal should be marriage, but I mean the
Why?
main reasons why, yeah, the main reasons why people are married, like so to me, marriage was something that really was something that like the wealthy did. right? You have
Mhm.
assets, you have the homes you own, things like that. So marriage is a way to maintain assets and forward those type of things. If you don't really have those things in your life, I'm looking at
Mhm.
you like, why are you pursuing marriage? Like even now,
Mhm.
like let's say farmers, having farmers would get married and have lots of kids. Why? To help
Mhm.
with the farming, right?
Mhm.
So all everything led to something. So there's a reason why that farmer isn't going to cheat on his wife. Why? Because he knows, hey, the reason why I'm with her and we're having kids is to move the farm forward. If I cheat on her, that's
Mhm.
not going to move the farm forward. You know, but if somebody has married you with no purpose, it's kind of like, well, why are they committed to you? They married you, yeah, that's
Right.
cool, but why are they really there? You guys are not
Mhm.
doing anything family oriented to move your family forward. So it's kind of like, yeah, why wouldn't he cheat on you? Like it doesn't, it's like, and vice versa. Like there's women that cheat too. It's like, well, why wouldn't she cheat on you? Like she's not there to kind of really build anything with you. She's just there for the comfortability that you extend to her, but she's
Mhm.
not really there with a purpose either. So that's why they
Mhm.
say find your purpose. And when you find your purpose, you realize certain things aren't for you. I've met
Mhm.
men and women that have a. Why I'm saying this too is I've met older men and women that have been married, and we start having a conversation. They realize, yeah, I did it, but reality was this actually wasn't for me. And that's, if
Hmm.
anything, that's 2022. People realizing, hey, maybe marriage, the idea of marriage isn't for you. You grow up and you think that's what you're supposed to do. But hey, maybe it isn't for you. And yeah, you could find one, two, maybe three people that really meet your needs, and you guys could have that dynamic of a relationship for the rest of your lives. Because some people get along better separately than together.
Mhm.
I forgot there's these two couples. I like them a lot. I think like they were like going out. They were together for like years, like maybe like 7 years before they got married, and then they got
Who?
divorced after. Um, I'm trying to think who's his name. I mean, give me 2 seconds to think about this.
Mhm.
Um, Leonard Kravitz. I think it was like his
Mhm.
ex-wife. I think it's his ex-wife and this
Mhm.
other. I don't know celebrity names. I don't really care about celebrities, so I'm doing my best. But Lenny had like a wife and whatever. I think she was in the Bill Cosby show.
Hmm.
So she was with this guy. I know he played Aquaman. That's look, I'm terrible with celebrities. I know he played, so
Mhm.
that's what they were with, but they were together for a while. And then when they got married, I'm like, marriage is different. There's
Mhm.
more there's more responsibilities you have in a marriage than you have when you're
Mhm.
just dating or when you're just with somebody. And sometimes that
Well,
level of
well, what differs to you, in your opinion?
um it depends how you move. Like me, I'm a marriage oriented person, right? So dating
Mhm.
and marriage isn't. I don't really date. I tell people like if you see me with a woman, I'm like, hey, this is my girl. That's probably a woman that I'm gonna marry, right? So that's just me. I don't really date. I engage with women all the time. Yeah, I have fun with women and we chill, but I tell people I don't really date because when you see me with a woman and I'm saying, hey, this is my girl, yeah, we're making moves to get married. But as far as outside of that, we would just be friends and we would just be two people getting to know each other. Simple as that. So I couldn't really, you know what I mean? But that's why I said for me, because I'm so marriage oriented, when I'm with a woman, I have to invest in her in a certain way where she understands that I'm here for her. And if she understands that, you could get the best out of her. And me getting the best out of her, she's gonna get the best out of me. And then we're gonna get the best out of each other to make the idea of marriage make sense to us. But why will
Mhm.
I be with a woman and quote unquote date her and she don't even feel in a sense safe around me? She's still
Mhm.
stressing about certain things that she shouldn't stress around. Like again, like that whole maybe 50-50 stuff. Well, that's not a conversation really. Like when somebody know that you for them. You know what I mean? The
Mhm.
best
You're right.
a way I can make it make sense for somebody is like when I'm with my siblings, we don't talk about who got this, who got that. We take care of each other.
Mhm.
So
You're
when
right.
I'm with a woman that I know that's for me and she knows I'm for her, there's certain conversations that go on the internet that I just say
I love
I don't
that.
entertain in my life. Yeah, it's not. I don't
Mhm.
live like that. You
I
know.
love that
So
because if you for her and she's for you, you don't have to discuss certain things. Certain things are already a given,
yeah,
and you don't have to be like who's going to pay what because you already know what you got to take care of based upon the relationship you have with that person. So I'm with you on that.
yeah. Like I told you, like when it comes to paying for stuff, it mainly becomes jokes. Like oh, like you kind of round about how like I know like that TikTok one where they're like, hey, what we doing after this? And She say, she's going to sleep. And he say, yeah, split the bill. Like it just become jokes for y'all that you guys could both enjoy and laugh at. But she knows she yours
Yeah.
and you know you hers. So you know what I mean? That's why I say like, but there's real people where that's really how they're living. And I'm like, if you really kind of living like that, then you got to think maybe marriage isn't for you. Like, how can somebody ever feel safe with you? And this is both men and women. How can somebody ever feel like
Mhm.
they can spend the rest of their life with you, where damn
Mm.
near spending 5 minutes with you is a struggle?
Mm. That's crazy. Like to me, when you know that somebody is your somebody, they don't get on your nerves after a certain time. You put up with them. It's like you have more highs than you have lows. You definitely gonna have your lows, but your highs
Absolutely.
outweigh them. And that person is like your friend slash companion slash lover slash everything. And like you live, you breathe everything with that person. It's like I don't know. You just know when somebody is for you. You know when that's going to be your husband or that's going to be your wife.
I tell
You just
people
feel it.
the lows are worth it. You know, like
Hmm.
anybody, if you're going through something in life, you realize there's been times you've taken L's, but how you were able to make out of the L, maybe your thought process changed, and because your thought
Hmm.
process changed, you were able to win even more. So when you with somebody that you really building the future with, even in your lows, you're just gonna be better for each other. So
Yeah.
it's just how life like it's like a circle of life. And life you ain't gonna be on 10 every time. There's sometimes you're gonna drop to one. But when you with the right
Hmm.
person, even when y'all drop to one, it just make you appreciate them so much because you're like, damn, even when I was here, like how she was moving, how this was, you know what I mean? Like, I tell women all the time,
Yeah.
like the best time you're gonna really see you, because women out here, oh, struggle love, black men want women to be in struggle of love all the time. And I'm just like,
Hmm.
how you gonna know if somebody really with you if they don't
If
struggle
you
with
don't
you?
struggle, right?
Yeah. And my whole thing is the struggle don't gotta be nothing crazy, but it's just one of those, hey, when you really rock with me, you're gonna see who I am. Like even in the
Yeah.
struggle, like for me, even if I'm quote unquote struggling, my wife is gonna be good. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, yeah, and like she wouldn't even question that. And even in the midst of me trying to make sure she's good, she's gonna be trying to make sure I'm good. We so worried about
Hmm.
making sure that each other is fine. Like we not
Yeah.
really like, you know what I mean? We don't even like look at the struggle like other people look at the
Yeah.
struggle. So that's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Because we balance the struggle out. We don't look at the struggle as a bad thing. We look at the struggle as something we overcome together to make us stronger. Struggle is supposed to give strength. So why look at it in a negative light? And I'm with you on that. Like, you're supposed to go through your struggle in relationships because that sees how that person has your back, that sees that person's loyalty, that person's longevity of love, that sees that person if they're going to rock with you because you want to know when I'm falling, you're going to pick me up, regardless
listen,
of what it is. And that
I'm
goes
pretty,
for both men and women.
everybody know this. When you're on top of the world, everybody love you, right? When you
Hmm.
actually going through something is when you're gonna realize who's really there for you and who's not. And
Yeah.
it's so when a lot of women is talking about struggle love, I think a lot of things they're getting confused with is there's a guy that has bad intentions for you, and what he's doing
Hmm.
is he's manipulating you to be with you. That's not the
Hmm.
relationship we're talking about. We're talking about the guy that has your best interest at heart, that's really trying to be there for you and struggle a little
Hmm.
bit. Those two look much different because, like I said, y'all could be struggling, but you over there all happy, you giggling, you like, damn, like I'm happy to be here. And you don't even feel like you're struggling, but you know y'all are. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, so that's why I tell people, like, you start going through stuff like this, experiences that you go through, and y'all end up laughing
Hmm.
about it because it was like, damn, we really did this, but it make y'all closer because that's the end that y'all share. While the guy that was manipulating and trying to take advantage of you, you went through this and you still miserable. And it's like, damn, like this sucks, but and you realize this person ain't for you. So within struggle, you can see who's
Hmm.
for you and who's not.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy because this is my first time actually kind of seeing this online. Like my other half had COVID and it was just like the worst feeling ever. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. It was like I was sick with him. And I didn't care what it was. I was risking my life to make sure he was okay. I was
Yeah,
like, forget that. I'm taking care of you. You're gonna eat, you're gonna open your mouth, we're gonna get through this together. I didn't care what
yeah.
it took, but to me, that was like struggle love. You know what I'm saying? That was
This,
like putting him before me. It was just more so like it was a moment that I'll never
yeah.
forget. But I'm just like, I was willing to jeopardize my life for somebody I love. That's love.
Listen, that's
And
real
that's when
love.
it
And even
first came out.
listen, and I'm pretty sure even for him, He saw like it's not that he didn't love you before, but you go through something like that, like why there's a certain way he's gonna appreciate you where he's like, nah, like she was really there for me. Like, you know what I mean? And you know, cause she had made excuses because she had but she didn't do none of that. She really stepped up for me. There's a level of
Yeah.
appreciation he's gonna have for you. And that's what I try to tell people, you know, and then even maybe after, because I know people that went through that too, right? And you know, let's say if it was a guy, maybe how he was acting, he might have been going through whatever. And then after they go through it, like, you know, they're laughing about it. You know, she tells jokes about how he was going through it. And they laugh, and it's like, yo, they just kind of became even closer going through something that was so that in a sense was such a turmoil for other people. You know what I mean? So I tell people like
Mhm.
again, when you're going through certain things, that's when your relationship is supposed to get stronger. And if your relationships don't get stronger in the midst of certain type of turmoil, then is a sometimes it's a good indication of hey, this might not be where you need to be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's some 2022 advice, weather the storm in your relationship. And if you can weather multiple storms in a relationship and not just don't go with somebody that you're intimate with, that's friendships, that's family ships, everything. If you can weather the storm, then that relationship is beneficial for you because you have investment in that relationship. So that's something like some word of advice I could give for 2022.
Let me,
If you weather the storm for that with that person, you hold on to that person because that may be your person,
let me
if you
let
will.
me say this too. Like again, I'm all about weathering the storm, but make sure the storm isn't self-induced. And what I mean by that, if
Mm,
it's a man or a woman and that person is the one that's creating these storms, there has to be a time where you're like, listen, this person isn't ready for what you're ready for. You know what I mean? I tell
mhm,
people all the time I could be dealing with somebody, and it's like, damn, they always seem to be something going on with them. You know what I mean? I'm
mhm.
over here trying to make up some drama. Like, damn, like let me, you know what I mean? I want you to carry some weight too. Sheesh. So I tell people, look, as strong as you are, a lot of black men, as strong as you are, as capable as you are, that doesn't mean you're supposed to be weathering the storm for people all the time. If they're incapable of handling their own storm, maybe that person ain't ready for what you're ready for. And that's okay. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means they ain't for you.
You put it in really good content, and I appreciate it because you kind of hit the back end of where I was coming from. So thank
I
you.
believe you
Um,
going. I rock with you.
you felt the flow, but most
Absolutely.
definitely, we are wrapping up on our time here. So I so appreciate you rocking with me tonight. It was a great conversation, just like always. We have some good conversations.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm honored. I know Show wasn't here, but you know, hopefully I showed him up. You know what I mean? That's why I came in.
You know what? Woo, woo. I appreciate you. Well,
Yeah,
well, thank you guys for rocking out with us tonight. You guys have a wonderful evening and a safe MLK day tomorrow. Bye, guys.
deuces.